Greetings, Dave Dickinson here from AstroGuys.com, and I thought I would launch a brief pre-show Periscope here just to talk about some of the space news, some of the things that's been going on in science and astronomy, and just whatever has been drifting through my transium right now. I notice we're still in naval billeting at Norfolk Navy Air Station. I may talk a little bit. Hey, Trevor's on. Cool. Good afternoon. I've been seeing some of your ISS photos and whatnot in images, and I'm up here in Norfolk right now in Virginia, so I've seen a few passes. Tried to watch the SpaceX launch last night. I had it on the Fire Stick hooked into the hotel TV, and I was actually able to webcast it. Unfortunately, they scrubbed. And actually, I'm just seeing right now that SpaceX may try to do their launch on Sunday evening. I don't know if I'm still going to be here in Norfolk or not on Sunday evening. We'll see. We're trying to catch a flight out to Rota, Spain right now. So we'll see if that all occurs in flows. Anyway, the weekly Space Hangout is going to start here at the top of the hour in about 21 minutes. I'm primarily going to be, I think they're going to be talking about fast radio bursts. That's been a big thing in the news. I've just read and started to wrap my brain around it this week. I've seen some talk about it. I'm probably going to talk about we are entering into a double shadow transit season for the moons of Jupiter, right around opposition. Hey, we're getting a few more followers. Cool. People watching the broadcast. We're just talking about space news, kind of a warm up to the weekly Space Hangout here at the top of the hour. I usually get one or two stories in. So we talk about double shadow transits, which are kind of neat. There's a bunch of them this season, and the ones coming starting this weekend. There's about, I believe, 27 that we counted on our astronomy. Some people, readers, noticed that we had 27, almost over a quarter, almost a third of the events on our 101 astro events for 2016 were double shadow transits of Jupiter's moons. And I looked into it and said, yeah, there are more than usual this year. We're ending up, one of the reasons is we're ending up a plane crossing year. One of the outermost moon, Callisto, the outermost of the big four moons. Oh, cool. Zenith Kingdom joined. That's cool. We're talking about space here in Space News. The outermost moon, Callisto, is the only moon when it comes across that can actually miss on certain years, and we're ending up that plane crossing season later this summer. So if you've never seen Callisto shadow transit, and I can also tell you if you watch shadow transits of the moons of Jupiter, the big four major moons that you'll see with the telescope being Io, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, you'll notice that the shadows aren't all the same sizes and shapes, and that's because the moons are all different distances from Jupiter. The innermost moons will appear smaller and like inky black little shadows, whereas the outermost moon, Callisto, will have, going to try to shoot some Jupiter in Saturday night. Yeah, I don't have the post in front of me right now, Trevor, but you might want to check out, I think there is a double shadow transit coming up this weekend. Okay, we've got some more people joining. Cool. Those are always, try out a new motor drive. Cool. Traveling right now, I actually had to give up a telescope because we're pretty much traveling mobily right now, kind of backpacking as we long term. And it's, I'm carrying a tripod. I do have my DSLR. I just got a travel tripod that packs away in my gear. And I do have a set of binoculars that I brought with me. That's my trade-off for not bringing a telescope. Last time we went around the world, the wife and I, after I got out of the military in '07, we actually carried much less gear. What about Virgo, Sun, Pisces, Moon, Cancer, Ascendant? I don't even know where the sun is right now. I'd have to look it up as far as what astronomical constellation it's in. That sounds more like astrology talk. I'm on the side that doesn't make money, called Astronomy. My Celestron 130 EQ is pretty mobile. I do want to get a good mobile refractor. That's something I've always dreamed of. Or a little Questar, if I could ever score one of those, like a 3.5 inch Schmidt-Cassegrain, one of those little tiny ones, would be very cool to have. And you know, this travel tripod, unfortunately, it's all packed up in my luggage, and we're going to try to catch a plane tomorrow, so I don't want to unfurl my luggage anymore. $250, that's nice. You know, I paid over $1,000 for the pair of binoculars I have with me right now. They're image stabilized, but they are totally worth it. If you ever have a chance to get a pair of image stabilized binoculars, they are worth the investment, because I ended up, even when I'm home and had, they are expensive. But you know what? even when I have access to telescopes, and even when I had my backyard observatory in Arizona, I found 90% of the time I was still using those binoculars because it's just so much handier. You know, you get off work, you're tired, you're like, oh, I don't want to get out and align the scope and set up the scope and do everything. So it's like, binoculars, if they're just a comet or something you want to go out and look at, it's early in the morning, you get up, you just put them around your neck, you go out, look, there it is, and you pop back in. So there's virtual zero setup. I love having telescopes. I love having access to an observatory. An observatory, too, if you can build one, even the one I had in Arizona, I'll have to shoot out some photos. I believe aliens exist? I take it you're talking the from other planets kind of aliens. I don't have any evidence for it, but either answer is really profound. I know it's kind of a cop out. It all matters how rare humans are and how rare the story of what. It's a really deep dive question right there. I know you can boil it down to yes or no. If you say yes or no, I would say I don't have any evidence for alien life. But double shadow tonight. Going to be cloudy here. March 8th is my next look. Okay, so it's like next weekend. I know there's a bunch. The latest post I did on Universe Today, I highlighted about a dozen of them for this season. There's another season this fall, but the season in the fall falls right near solar conjunction, so Jupiter's not as well placed. Jupiter is very well placed because opposition comes around right in early March right now. So that's going to be kind of cool. And I am writing up a big post on, is there a spiritual component to astronomy? I think so. I mean, it's one of those sciences, in one of those pursuits, even amateur astronomy, that is very outward looking. Again, a very deep dive question, but I'd say a spiritual component to astronomy that at the end of the day, it really puts a lot of your problems and things and everything we've got going on here on Earth in perspective, to go out and look and say, wow, there's a universe out there that is just totally spinning and doing its stuff beyond, we're part of it. We're both incorporated in it and we're not at the same time. It would keep spinning if there were no life here on Earth. And it's not necessarily created for us, but it's very humbling. So I'd say, yeah, there's a, you draw a spiritual, I draw a certain spiritual sustenance from the just going out and observing. And some nights I'm just going out, again, looking with binoculars or even with the naked eye, especially traveling. Sometimes you're in a city or you're wherever and you just don't have time to drive out to a dark sky site. But if it's clear, I always try to pop out and take a look at things. So it's it's definitely. Another thing. I live in Turin, Poland. Nicholas Copernicus astronomy site. Very interesting history. I'd like to go over there. I've been to Poland, but not to Turin. Very briefly, we hopped across the border in eastern Germany one day to go shopping when we were up in Berlin. But there's a lot of cool astronomy in Poland, a lot of cool science. We're actually trying to get over to Europe, so there's a lot of Eastern Europe I'd like to do. We want to go to Spain first. Hopefully next week we'll be doing this from Spain. We're trying to catch a military hop right now, which is kind of a science, an arcane science in itself. Are those times listed in UT in a 24-hour clock format? I know I'm jumping topics here, but I'm getting questions. So yes, the ones on the Universe Today site are listed in Universal Time, which is 5 hours ahead right now. We're still not quite on. They're listed in. You're correct. They're listed in Universal Time, which is Greenwich Meridian, Greenwich Mean Time, or Zulu time for people in the military. It's all the same thing, and they're in 24-hour clocks. So it's just too confusing to try to list it out in everybody's time zone. So I just went to Universal. So. There's the invite for the weekly space hangout. So probably in about a minute or so, I'm going to close up here and then transition over to getting ready for the weekly space hangout on Google+. And I'm probably going to get one or two stories in, depending on how crowded it is. That's usually the I don't know who are. Yeah. There's a talk speaking about the time zones. I read a very interesting article, something I've kind of proposed before too. But I'm just like some guy that writes stories and stuff, that we should do away with time zones entirely. And, we're doing the shift again here very shortly in a few weeks to summertime again. So I like your energy. Cool. Yeah, so I think we should just do away with time zones, go to universal time, and if the sun rises where you live at 1 in the afternoon, just kind of get used to it. Yeah, DST is kind of silly. California, incidentally, may be doing away with it. Arizona did away with it. If you've ever lived in Arizona, there's no daylight savings time there. Saving time, excuse me. Indiana, I believe, has done away with it now. I think eventually, some countries and states have gone the other direction. Like North Korea decided last year to establish its own time zone, but North Korea just does silly things to begin with sometimes. So they established their own half-hour time zone. There are 15-minute time zones. Like I think it's Nepal that's 15 minutes off. Oh, you still have it in Indiana. I always thought Indiana did away with daylight saving time. Maybe I'm thinking from a few years back or so. But there are some ideas to go to double DST, crazier ideas to stay on daylight saving time all year round. I've written about it before, and it's a very the idea of keeping time and the art of time and going right from like calendars and trying to keep things synchronized. Like it's actually a very complex subject to wrap my brain around when I write it. You think timekeeping is from the outset very simple, but you find out it's not. Well, anyway, I have to transition from this Periscope to the weekly Space Hangout, so I'll be tweeting that out too when that goes live. Fraser Kane, yeah, will be on the weekly Space Hangout, and I'll be there. I just saw the invite, so they invited me, so I will see all you folks in 10 minutes.